Welcome to the Young, Dumb, and in Love podcast, where we talk about all things marriage.
Our goal is to help equip you to have a marriage that is better than you have ever imagined by sharing real-life experiences, getting into the nitty-gritty, and sharing practical ways you can start today. Let's dive in. School is finally back in session.
It's back. Praise you, Jesus. Hallelujah.
Our girls have been back in school for a month, which has been so nice.
It's glorious.
Oh,
I can actually hear myself think. It's
Summer
amazing.
was a journey. It was so great. So many fun memories.
Yeah.
Except for with you because you were busy. But
Let's just be honest.
Just kidding.
Let's just be honest.
But they're back in school. Actually, someone messaged me last night and they were like, oh my gosh, is it really hard for you? Were you really sad when your kids go back to school? Because their kids are about to go back to school. And I wanted to just make sure I wasn't no. I was like, at first, I don't even know if that's really, there's a moment. I feel like a lot of moms are like, oh, I'm going to miss them. No, I did.
For sure.
I was
you had that moment.
I'd had that moment,
Yeah.
but I definitely the first day of school came home and was like, it was
so
nice. It was so nice because it's just hard, and they're home and they want your attention.
And we work from home. So
we
it's
work from home
yeah.
and you want to give them as much attention as you can and make them feel like you're paying attention and important and they're important. But it was a journey.
Yep.
And they follow me around everywhere.
I'm in my office.
They literally follow me around all day long.
I know. And I'm in my office and I'm trying to work, be very focused on what I'm doing. And Elsie's over here putting things in my ear.
Oh, yeah.
She
has a beanbag in his office so she can sit and watch movies.
I put a TV
because
up so that she
like
can
I said,
watch
our
movies.
kids just want to spend time with us, which is great. And that's the kind of parents we wanted to
For
be.
sure.
So hey, you know what? It's great. But summer was wild.
Summer was wild.
Wild.
Yes. Very busy. I don't think I've slept more than 5 hours a night.
Yeah. It's been
I am very tired.
Crazy. Well, in here, I think so Julian, we talked about this a lot last season too, but Julian started a new business.
Yeah.
And so this summer, the reason why it was so crazy was you had a cool
job opportunity. Yeah.
And so he had a really great job opportunity, but it's funny because, we always talk about communication, but this was definitely probably a communication flop. I don't want to say fail because it wasn't a fail.
Hey, I only communicated what I knew.
Totally.
We were figuring out as we were going.
We figured it out. But here's the thing that I love is when you have laid that foundation in your marriage of being able to say being able to recognize maybe we could have communicated better in this, or maybe this wasn't what we thought it was going to be, but being able to move on from it.
For sure.
You know what I mean?
And work it out. And
work it out.
And roll with
and
the
you
punches.
just roll it. Yeah. And I think that's the thing is so much of marriage is you have to be able to pivot. You have to be able to pivot. Because sometimes your husband or wife are going to say, hey, I have this great opportunity. And you have to just be like, okay, here we go.
That's going to change a lot of things in our world.
It really did change the whole dynamic of summer.
Oh, for sure.
100%.
Yeah.
Trips that we were going to go together, I did, and you would meet us. You know what I mean? So it was definitely totally different. Yeah. But it was super great.
Well, and it's one of those things. It's one of those opportunities at the very beginning of your business that helps you get ahead. So it's kind of okay, this is a no-brainer. As much as it's going to be a sacrifice, it's a no-brainer. So we have to do everything that we can, like you said, to pivot to make it work. And thank God we did, because it did put us ahead.
Oh, absolutely.
And we're
it's such
in a way
cool
better spot.
Experience, you know what I mean? And so it was just funny because I remember being like we sat down to make our summer schedule. Because here's the thing, we're at a season in life that we have to literally schedule everything. Yeah. I have to schedule the simplest little thing, or I will forget about it. And it just is what it is.
Write it down, baby.
Write it down. Live and die by the calendar. Every single day of her life. And I've gotten a lot better at it. I'll tell Julian, guess what? I put that in my calendar.
I am so
so
the other night she goes, I made a voice memo.
Oh, I made
and I'm
voice
I am
memos.
so proud of you right now.
Look at me.
Helps you remember.
I know, guys, because I can literally forget something so quickly.
Yeah.
It's been a journey. I've discovered a lot about myself over the last
couple
2
years.
Since moving to Arizona. But
the last 2 years we learned a lot.
So let's talk about 2 years ago. Okay. Actually. So as we're talking about summer, I'm I wrote this down kind of to talk about 2 summers ago.
2 summers ago.
Literally almost to the date. It would have been, a few days ago, but 2 literal summers ago in August.
For sure.
What happened?
I've been in full-time ministry as a pastor for 15, 16 years, and been always been in a great place with that. And then we moved to Arizona for this new job at a new church.
Super excited.
Very excited. And 5 months later, it didn't work out. And I got let go. And I asked the reason why. And they said, because you're not a good fit here. And that's never been told to me in my entire life. So it was very,
you're like, excuse me?
It was very shocking.
I am amazing. I am a great fit.
Yeah. And that's literally it. That's all they gave me.
Right.
So, and so I went home in distraught, like what is happening? I just moved my family here. I have no job. Like I couldn't figure it out. Right. I could have easily gone and applied at another church and gotten a job, no problem. But there was like grieving that needed to happen. And so for the next year, I worked my butt off on my own stuff and grieved and took a long time to really figure out, okay, who am I really? Because my identity was always in what I did working for the church as a pastor. And this kind of like made me go back and look at my world in a whole new way. And, and God totally worked it out. And but worked it out at the very last second.
Oh,
like
there
was like no time left. I was literally interviewing for another job because okay, I need to get a job.
Yeah, you need to provide for your family.
And so and not that I didn't have a job. I was working my own stuff, doing my own stuff, but I wasn't making enough money. And so I was like, all right, I'm going to go get a job. I was in the middle of interviews, just doing all kinds of stuff. And then God just sent a person into my life and it changed everything that has to do with my business. And so we teamed up, started a new business.
Oh, I know. I love it. It's so fun.
We're killing it. And it's very tiring.
It's
and
a
I
lot.
have never worked this hard in my entire life. I am sleep deprived. I don't know if my brain is working. I think it's working at 35% right now, but you know what? It's working out and God is good. And so
don't you
2
love
years later,
we're
rolling and moving forward in our lives. And I feel like I'm finally like in that place where I'm going, okay, I love, not that I didn't love it before, but I really love what I get to do, especially because I get to be with my family way more than I've ever been in my entire life.
Yeah. No, that's good. And I think like the grieving, like you talked about, like when you've done something for so long.
Yeah.
And it feels like it's the right thing. Like who wouldn't think that being in full-time ministry, I mean, like that for so many people, like that's the end all be all. Like they want that position, they want that role. And then you're like grieving that, like, Lord, I don't actually know if this is what you want me to be doing. It was like a really uncomfortable season.
It was very uncomfortable.
And I love how you said, like how you were talking about, because this story is probably one of our like watermark stories.
It's a pillar.
Totally.
Yeah.
Like where we looked at each other last summer, so 2022, and I was like, honey, this is it. Like we need we need real money coming in. Like we need a job, and I was working and I was doing well, but like we just were in a position where there was still, we still needed more, and we're not bougie. So it's not like I'm talking like to go pay for a bunch of stuff. Like it was just like that monthly nut, like that's what we needed. And I remember saying like, hey, you know what though? We're going to visit my family up in Washington. Let's just take 10 days and pray. Yeah. Like we just need to really pray about this. We need to really know that like, if you're going to go and work a job and be away from us, like that it's the right thing. We want to know, we just want to have that peace. And so we just prayed about it for 10 days. We were just like 10 days. We're not going to worry about it.
We're not going to think about our finances. We're not going to think about everything else.
Isn't it amazing that the weekend we flew back home, the person that you're in business with now happens to also be moving from out of town to Arizona and wants to meet up to see about like starting a business together. Yeah. The weekend we come home. And I'm like, that is the Lord's faithfulness. And it's like when you're at your very end, like you were saying,
very end,
when you're like,
there was nothing left.
Okay. It's like, you want to believe, like, we trust you. And you're like, oh, I'm holding my breath a little bit. Like I'm saying it because I believe it, but I'm also struggling because I don't know. It's not happening. Yeah. But I love that. Cause like 2 summers ago, we walked through the door and here we are, 2 small kids, a mortgage, a state where we barely know anybody. Yep. I'm just finishing up my licensing for real estate here. Yep. And I lost my job and I'm like, oh my gosh, what am I going to do? But we talk about this and you can speak to this too. Like, those moments where you can he like audibly hear that like whoosh in your mind.
Oh, for
you know, where your
sure.
ears almost are like ringing. I don't know, like
it's
that
like a
ringing
ringing.
feeling. It's like
a hum.
It's like the blood rushing.
The
that
blood
feeling
rushes,
of like whoosh. I remember when he said that to me, and he was like, "No, I'm serious."
Yeah.
I felt that.
Yeah.
And I immediately felt as plain as day, like I was facing two opportunities.
Yeah.
React how I have in the past, like been programmed to react, which is like, oh my gosh, what are you going to do? What are we going to do? You're like,
what did you do?
Like, yes. Yeah. And like, we're not going to make it. And we're going to like, you know, and cry and be like, we're not going to be able to pay our bills. And what are we going to do? Where are we going to go?
And that's what I was kind of expecting, to be honest.
And I just felt so clear. Like the Lord was like, you need to take a breath and you need to see him the way I see him.
Yeah.
And it honestly was so transformational for me.
It was so transformational.
I looked at him and I thought to myself, like, there's nothing that I could say that he's not already feeling.
Yeah.
Like,
for sure.
And in that moment, like, yes, I was his wife, but I also felt like I saw him the way that like Jesus would want me to see him, like with the heart of God. Like,
yeah.
You know, and so I was like, okay, come here. And I told him to sit down next to me on the couch. I was like, sit on the couch.
Put her arms around me.
This is Jesus, because this is not, this is like, just to clarify, if this you're like, wow, look at her halo. No,
this is not normal.
Like, this was pivotal even for me. I really feel like this was kind of a mark of me really deciding, like, do you really trust the Lord? Like, Brittany, you've said this, you've pastored people, you've sat in front of them, you've told them to trust the Lord, but do you trust the Lord?
For sure.
And I felt as clear as day, the Lord was like, just put your arm around him and pray for him and then start the conversation. Yeah. And that's what we did. And the last 2 years have been
amazing.
We've grieved. We have had so much joy.
Oh my gosh.
So much laughter.
So
much freedom.
Yep.
And it's amazing.
Yeah.
Like, it really is true that God works all things together for the good of those that love him.
For sure.
But it just takes a little time sometimes.
For sure. Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
So that was the 2 summers ago story that I was like, okay, you know what? It just seems like it's too good because it's still I guess this is only the second summer, but when it comes up, now we can kind of laugh about it.
Oh, for sure.
In the beginning, there was no laughing. It was not funny.
It was grieving, sadness. It was a lot of
devastation.
Anger. There was a lot of anger and bitterness and
angry.
I've never felt
angry
this way before. And like, even like mental health, like we talk about that a lot.
Yeah.
And we walked with Brittany with mental health, and I've never really experienced it. And so for me, I experienced it for the first time. I was like, I just wanted to be so I'm going to cry.
Don't cry.
I just want to be in a dark place.
Yeah. Well, that's so good. Ooh.
Yeah, I know.
But I think that's so good to share because I think there's a lot of men out there that are like, no, I feel that, but I'm too afraid of what will happen if I really feel it.
Yeah.
You know, and so it's like, no, I'm going to cry. This is not the way that
I know. It's just funny because I would like suppress everything I was feeling and try to be tough for you and finally like let this come out.
But I love that. But that is a testimony of a marriage that we've long built, of being able to let our walls down with each other. And it was like I said, it was a monumental moment.
Yeah. Wow.
Like you said,
wasn't expecting that today.
No, I love it. Okay, so I think this is great because this is what I love about this space, is that it's the real and the raw conversation that actually changes people's lives, you know? And so if you were in a room with a husband right now who is walking this same exact path as you, right?
Yeah.
He's like, dude, I'm at my end. Like, I don't know how I'm gonna do this. Like, what would you say to him?
I mean, there's a ton of things. Obviously, start like you did with prayer and just asking the Lord to bring peace into his life, and number one, and then allowing him, like telling him it's okay to grieve, it's okay to let go of everything you've built and done in your life. Stop. This is crazy. It's happening.
So you should probably know that we just cry. And when we're not even uncomfortable, but we laugh out of like, our laughter is our love language. Like I'm
laughing because like I'm so grateful for where I am today. But I think that's what it is. Like, I'm crying because I'm so grateful.
It's like tears of joy.
Yeah, it's
and
tears
like
of joy.
Also
because,
being able to, yeah.
Because I walked through the darkest time of my life.
Yeah.
And it was so hard. And
yeah.
I cry because it's so beautiful.
I feel like this.
It's wow.
Ooh, what is happening?
I shouldn't talk anymore. If I talk anymore, it's just gonna keep going. Okay.
Okay, you have to stop.
Okay, good. Yeah, so what would I tell him?
Never mind. We don't want to know.
Why? Because I'll cry more.
Oh, yeah.
Wow. I am like dripping wet with tears.
And I'm trying not to ruin my makeup. And so I get this, and I have, okay, you look cute when you cry. I have the ugliest face.
No, I don't. I look like a mess right now.
You can see every chin I've ever had in my life when I cry.
Wow. I had a lot of built up just now. I think I need to let it out. It just came out during this time. All right.
Okay. Well,
okay.
Look at you, ruined me now.
So I would definitely tell him it's okay to grieve. It's okay to be mad. It's okay to feel what you're going to feel. Let your feelings come through and let them just come out, because if you suppress them, it's going to get even worse, and you're going to end up in this place of darkness. And that's really where a lot of people fall into the worst mental health spots of their lives, because they just don't have anybody to talk to or be real with. And so it's so important to put people in your life that you can talk to and be real with, and have a wife who supports you and loves you, and and so it's a him and her conversation. If they're a married couple and he's the one that's going through that, like, I would want to sit down with her too and be like, listen, attacking him or blaming him or pointing the finger, it's not going to make the situation any better. What you need to do is love him, support him, encourage him, and be there for him, and allow him to lay in your lap and cry and grieve and whatever it is that's going on in your life. And when you do those things, like, you're going to be way more successful coming out of it on top. And I don't know. Honestly, I'm about to go again. I don't know what would have happened to me if I didn't have you and what you did for me, so super grateful.
But I think that this is the beautiful thing, is that, like, you were there for me in my darkest season, and I was there for you. And that is what marriage is. Like, we
1,000%.
we want the pretty.
Yeah.
We want
it to be perfect.
The romantic side of it. And, like, the bottom line is,
It's not
always.
It's hard.
It's hard, and life is hard. And it's not even your marriage that's hard, because marriage can be hard. Life is hard, and you're two people that are walking through life together, and life is just can get messy and hard, and bad things happen, and jobs are lost, or pregnancies, or babies, or family members. Or,
I'm always reminded of Forrest Gump whenever you talk about this, because I think about Forrest and Bubba when they're sitting in the mud and they're
don't cry now too.
Bubba goes, why don't we just lean up against each other's back while we sleep so that we don't lay in the mud? And I'm like, that's what
marriage. That's so sweet.
That's what marriage is.
Yes.
Right? There's mud and there's gunk and there's rain and it's raining sideways and it's hard. And the best thing you can do is just lean on each other so that you're not sleeping in the mud. And it keeps you clean and it keeps you pure, and it keeps you in a place where you can stay up and away from all the gunk that's happening. Even though it's there, you can't ignore that it's there.
No.
But you can stand and you can stay up and not lay in it and get stuck.
Yep. Yeah.
Wow.
Woo, okay, preach now.
Cheers to all my tears.
Cheers to tears. But I think that's so good, though, is like, you have to grieve. And that's, something that I've been really, that I think shifted for me a couple years ago, was like, it is okay to feel. It is okay to feel those really deep, even seemingly dark things that you feel, and to grieve them.
Yeah.
You don't have to push them down, because they're going to come out whether or not you.
No matter what.
And they just grow and they just get bigger if you don't let them out.
Well, that's true. They're going to come out no matter what.
Oh, so they're coming out.
What form would you like them to come out in?
Oh, yeah.
Do you want them to come out where you're in control, or do you want it to be out of control?
Right. Yep. Woo. Oh, so good. So the summer was so good.
And these are tears of joy, just so you know.
Absolutely. But I think, doing so good. I think here's the beautiful thing is like and this is something that if I could write a book just of the last couple years of like all of these revelations I've had is like, you can feel two things that are seemingly contradictory to each other.
Yeah.
Like you can feel joy and you can feel grief.
Yeah.
Like you don't have to pick one or the other. And I think that oftentimes is the struggle for people. They're like, no, but I feel joyful, but why do I still feel sad? And so then they feel like they have to pick, like you don't have to just pick one. They're not exclusive feelings. Like I can be joyful and I can also be experiencing some grief. I can be experiencing something that is painful.
Yep.
And like, weeping may last through the night, but joy comes in the morning. You know what I mean? And I see that as like just this mark of the season for us. It's like,
for sure,
there was pain. There was struggle, but man, there was so much joy.
Yeah.
And so much laughter so much fun and
some of our best memories.
Quality time with our kids that to watch Julian, even just to speak to this, and I feel like this is so many tangents because it's like we had very few notes because we're like, we just want to talk about summer.
For sure.
But I love how you end up just talking about so many things. It's like you finally got to be the dad you've always wanted to be.
Yeah. Because I was more available.
You were you are so available, so intentional. You know what's going on in their lives. You know where they need to be, when they need to be there, what time they're dropped off, picked up, who their friends are at school, like all of it.
Yeah.
And before it wasn't really like that. Like you were, but now it's like you have become even a better dad, a better husband. But had someone told you, hey, you're going to get fired from your full-time pastoral job, and in 2 years, you're going to be running this extremely successful business with amazing opportunities, with incredible business people that you've met because you got fired from that job.
Exactly.
Like the people that you're working with now, the only reason you have met them is because you got fired from that job.
Yep. It's true.
And it's like we were talking about this the other day. Even if we tried to write the story, we wouldn't be able to get the details right the way that God has orchestrated them.
For sure.
Even if we were like, let's do this and that, like, I'm done trying to figure it out, because when we have tried to figure it out, we got fired.
Yeah, for sure.
So not only that, but like figuratively speaking, like just fire me from trying to figure it out, Lord.
Yeah.
And I'm going to let you do your thing. Yeah. And then I feel like since we really came to that place of surrender, it's been
for sure
incredible. Not that it's not hard. I don't want people to think like, oh, I just want to be like, woo. No, it's not that. It was hard. There were tears and struggles and financial strain and, relational strain. But what it's done was worth every second of it.
100%. We came out way better than we've ever been.
Way better.
Yeah.
Way better.
So true.
Yeah.
So what's to come?
What's to come? Oh my gosh. Well, we are honestly just so excited to be here. Like, I think we just have this new, fresh
for sure
vision, excitement. Both of us are just like constantly having like, let's do this, let's do that.
Yeah.
So what's to come? Like, obviously the podcast, obviously. And then we want to make sure that we're equipping people to have better marriages.
Yeah.
So we are working on courses that people will be able to take. And I think that's kind of just the beginning of it.
Yep.
Where people can get their hands on a course with their spouse, like on a Zoom, and or like an online course where they can hit play and they can learn more. They can take a real deep dive into the stuff that we're teaching.
For sure.
And what else is to come?
Yeah. No, that's huge. That's huge. And we're just really, at the end of the day, we want to resource you as much as possible.
As much as possible.
So, we've walked through quite a few things. We're not the longest married people in the world, but what we've done is we've learned to be students of other marriages that are super successful. We've learned to be students of marriages that fall apart. We've learned to be students of our own marriage, because we know that everything that we walk through is going to be helpful in some fashion, So what we're doing is we're taking everything that we're writing, everything that we're saying, everything that we say here, and we're going to turn it into something that will help you in the long run, that you can hold on to forever. So that's our hope and dream, is that we can create content that it's not just a real video that goes viral for a second and then you get over it, right? Like that's not our goal. No. Our goal is to truly equip you and put something tangible in your hands to help you in your marriage, because these days we see so many marriages fall apart. Yep. And friends and family and people are all around us who are just falling apart, and we want to help. What would it be?
Equip.
Equip, but like bend the curve or whatever it is. We want to help just take that curve down just a little bit more. Whatever we can, and even if it's one couple that we change, that's great. But our goal is to equip you as much as possible. So be looking for that. That's what our focus is right now.
So excited. I spend so much time just like we were talking about voice memos. Like I will jump in bed at night and I will I'll have this idea and I'm like, oh my gosh, now I have to record it. So I'm just preaching to myself. Okay. And then this, and then I'm like, cause I really feel like there are downloads that are like, this is for people. And that's what I love, is like so much of what I feel like is to come is for you, like 100%. For this community, for like, I've been working on a lot of stuff on my end, like for women and like getting unstuck and for freedom and to find freedom. And what does it look like to be able to like shift that mindset for sure. And really work on that, Yep. So that's what's to come. And then we want to connect with you, like outside of you just like popping us in your ear on your walk or in the car on your drive, or if you happen to catch us like on YouTube so you can actually see our craziness and see us cry and laugh and do all the things. Like we want to connect with you outside of that. And so I have to be honest, the only place I'm really active would be on Instagram. Yeah. But you can come and hang out with me. I love to connect with people. Like I love to be able to connect with you. I connect with women all over the country. AZ Brittany Garcia on Instagram. You can find me, and you can find Julian at I am Julian G. Yeah. And here's the thing, like we just love to connect with people. We want to know your story. We would love to have your feedback. Obviously you can find us at Young, Dumb, and in Love on Instagram. Yep. We're on TikTok, but I say Julian does. I don't even open, I'm going to be honest. I'm not on TikTok, so that's all Jules. Yeah. But we want to connect with you. We want to know, like, we want to make sure that what we are producing is beneficial to those in our community. And so let us know, like, hey, we want more on this topic. We need more information on this or that. And we would love to dive in and get in the nitty gritty and help you with that.
Yeah. And then also, if you really love to hear me cry, leave us a review.
Yes, leave a review. That way, anybody who gave us a 1, I don't know who you are, but if you're going to leave a 1, you have to put words to back it.
Yeah, don't be a coward. Tell us why you put a 1.
Tell me why. Okay. Anyway, we would love to have you give us a review. That way it shows more people like, hey, check out this podcast. So yeah,
leave a review. We would love.
And we cannot wait to connect with you. We want to hear your testimonies about what is going on in your marriage. So info@youngdumbandinlove.com, or you can send us a DM on Instagram.
All right. We love you guys. Thanks for being here. Can't wait for the rest of season 2.